Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from the Denver Post, coming to you from the Aloft Hotel at the beautiful SeaTac Airport. I changed the venue so you could see me a little bit. At first, it looked like I was in a bat cave. Maybe I should have stayed there so you couldn't see me. There were times we wanted to cover our eyes. Broncos lose 26-20 to the Seahawks. I'm not going to tell you I told you so, but I told you so. Rookie quarterbacks now 4-15 at Lumen Field. Bo Nix, a very choppy debut, but I'm not putting this on Bo Nix. One person failed more than anyone else and deserves the most blame. I will get to that after the break. Have you been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Hoggett Injury Law a call. Their motto, with us, it's personal. I've known Darby Hoggett forever. We're good friends. Many of his clients have become his good friend. You don't even have to pay Darby up front. If your case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, if you've been hurt in a car wreck or injured at work, give Darby's team a call. It's 1-833-HOGGATT. That's 1-833-HOGGET. Or visit the website at hoggettlaw.com. Welcome back to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I am your host, Troy Renck from the Denver Post. I was here in Seattle. I witnessed it. Broncos, they have more trouble on the road. They might as well just travel these games in the family truckster like Clark Griswold. It is just issues beyond issues on the road these last 8 years. And this one, though, hurts because it was a winnable game. Yeah, they were a 6-point dog. Backdoor cover for some of you. Some of you were mad, but you got covered. That's why I don't gamble. Backdoor covers in the NFL are insane how many games end up as one-score games. For the Broncos, this was a winnable game. Very winnable game, and one person failed them more than any other. And you can say, Troy, it's Bo Nix. At one point, he threatened to have the lowest yards per attempt in the history of the NFL. He ended at 3.29. At one point, he was training at 2.68. His completions yards per attempt is the lowest at 5.3. It was a choppy debut, and I'm being polite. And what was unusual about it is being on time and on target was his whole thing throughout camp, throughout the preseason. And he was late on balls. He looked spooked at times. The balls were off shoulder, and it just wasn't the guy we saw. And again, I can understand there was pressure on him. He got a little rattled. The offensive line pass protection was not great, but it goes back to the fact of the game plan. And this is what we're going to get to here. Bo Nix did not play particularly well. Their receivers had multiple drops, even though some of those that Sean Payton characterized as drops, I'm not so convinced of. The running backs, at some point, they need someone to emerge. I just don't trust Javonte Williams to be that guy at this point. And that's based on last season. And this game looked very similar to that, where, another game where he's around 3 yards a carry. That won't work. But one person failed them more than any other. And that person is Coach Sean Payton. I wrote on Sunday before the game that they needed their $18 million man to win this game. That's Coach Payton. He came into this game 12-4 against rookie coaches in the first half of a season, then 28-11 overall against rookie coaches. He's dominated them because he is really smart. He knows what he's doing. But since he's been in Denver, we haven't seen that coach consistently. And against the coach in Mike McDonald and brand new coordinators, why is it that Seattle made adjustments at halftime? And Ryan Grubb figured out, feed the damn ball to Kenneth Walker. Why is it that the Broncos, again, can't hold the halftime lead? Remember, they did this against the Raiders last year, the Jets, and the Commanders. 3 home games where they couldn't hold a halftime lead. Same thing today. And they weren't playing well today, on Sunday. They weren't. But they still led at halftime. And then early in the third quarter, defense suddenly realizes they can't stop the run anymore, and they lose. And that's where we get back to the game plan. And my point of who deserves the most blame, you see it in the headline, it's Sean Payton. I hold Sean Payton to a higher standard. This team has one superstar player, Pat Surtain. The most accomplished person on the sideline every Sunday on this team is Sean Payton. And he's virtually the highest paid. He's the highest paid this season. He can't have a bad day. He just can't. And they threw, folks, 44 times. 4-4. You can't win that way. So he dropped back 44 times, and 42 pass attempts because there were 2 sacks. 2. What are we doing? Sean Payton talked late in the week about the best friend for a quarterback, running game, control the clock, take the burden off him. And he just can't seem to resist the gravitational pull to throw the football. And listen, that's when it's like Bo Nix becomes Bo Nix. He's not the Breeze knees. He's not that guy. And eventually, maybe he'll be a good player. Never compare him to a Hall of Famer. Not fair. But why are we throwing 42 times in his debut on the road? Where rookie quarterbacks are now 4-15 at Lumen Field. And it's that weird thing, and I write about it in my column. I suggest you read it if you can, if you're so inclined, at the Denver Post opinion section on the sports. It's on my Twitter feed as well, at Troy Renck. But Sean Payton knows better. You got to have balance. And when I asked him about it, he said, you want to have balance, but they weren't doing it well enough. We got to look at the schemes. We got to coach better. And I asked him why, and he said, well, we don't execute. We got to look at why. And that he blamed himself. And I appreciate that. In falling on the sword, he swung it at other people while protecting Nix. I understand why he protected Nix. I thought a little bit of the protection at times it came across as delusional. That Nix somehow played a great game. He did not. He did not. He finished strong. He did not play particularly well. Showed competitiveness. He showed a guy who's willing to, lay it out there for his team, especially on the run game. But he did not play well in the passing game. But why are we running? Why are we abandoning the run in the second half? And remember, they opened the lead with a lead in the second half. They ran the ball other than Nix 7 times. Like, you've got to establish the run, folks. So Nix scrambles 5 times for 35 yards. Everyone else but Nix, 24 carries, 60 yards. 2.5 yards per carry. Like, you're not going to win any games with a rookie quarterback on the road running that way. You're just not. And Payton could not resist the will to throw more. And here's the other issue with that. And again, I hold Coach Payton to a higher standard because he's won a Super Bowl. He's won, going on 270 games, counting the playoffs. Or coached in that many and won 100 some 69 plus, whatever that number is. This guy's resume suggests that he can outcoach another coach. Well, on Sunday you wouldn't have known that because he fell into the trap as he did at times last year when they were running the ball. Last year they were running the ball well and got away from it, but they're running the ball poorly. They abandon it, and then part of it is scheme related. At some point, they're probably going to have to make a decision to get Bo Nix under center more. And you say, why? Well, when you run in the shotgun and even the pistol, I used to talk to C.J. Anderson about this back in the day. Once you're in the pistol or shotgun and you hand off, it cuts off kind of half the field for the running back. If you run out of the eye, directly behind the quarterback in under center, that allows the running back to go either way and kind of slowly read a little more mush and then read and react. And so maybe they're going to have to run under center more. As Center Luke Wattenberg told me, he's like, it's got to be our identity. We've got to be better at it. And we'll hear from Mike McGlinchey later in the show about this as well. But when you're terrible on first and second down, as they were, it's no surprise then you're 5 for 18 on third down because you're constantly in third and long. And here's the deal with that, with Payton abandoning the run. It gave off CU Nebraska vibes that we watched with Shedeur Sanders and the Buffs getting absolutely waxed in a score that wasn't indicative of how poorly they played. I get it, the imbalance at CU, because I have seen no evidence from Deion Sanders that he values wins more than his son's stats. That's my belief, my opinion. I think at times he'd rather lose than have Shedeur throw for 500 yards. Sean Payton knows better that there's no way they were going to win that game with Bo Nix dropping back 44 times. And so the chilling factor is, and now Payton said, it's got to be better. They didn't protect well enough. They didn't run well enough. Well, here's the thing. Either they need to fix the scheme, and that can be part of it. The linemen aren't good enough, or they have the wrong backs. And those latter two are sobering if you have the wrong personnel. I think their offensive line should, in theory, be a decent run blocking line with Miners and Powers and McGlinchey and Bowles. We'll see what Bo's status is. He had an ankle injury. He was a ball of fire. He was hot after the game. I think in part because he didn't get put back in on the last drive. He was trying to get in the game, and they just basically said, no, sit it out because of the ankle. So I don't know. He brushed the press aside. He's usually pretty good in post game. He had no interest in talking. So, well, just that's a storyline to keep an eye on what his mood's going to be kind of this week, and will he be healthy? And I think part of it is, frankly, the contract hit he didn't get. But they should be good at run blocking. I didn't see evidence of that. And again, Javonte Williams, folks, I'm not sure he's the guy. For me today, their best running player was Audric Estime. The problem was he has one big carry, he's hurdling a guy, then he fumbles. He's got to hold on to the ball. He just turned 21. He's a young guy. I get it. He's got to hold on to the ball. So my point is this. If it's the wrong scheme, that's on the coaches. If they're not coaching them the right way, that's on the coaches. If it's the players not being good enough, that is sobering. I'm not going to say that about the O-line. I think you could say it right now about the running backs, because this was the same issue we saw last year. They need to, after 3 or 4 games, settle on a guy and make him the bell cow. Rotating 3 guys through is not going to work. I think you need to decide. For me, I would hope by October it's Estime, but he's got to hold on to the ball. But again, Sean Payton failed the Broncos because they did not run enough. They finished with 25 carries. 5 of those were nicks. So essentially 20 called runs with 44 dropbacks. Oh, my word. 2-to-1 ratio, dropbacks to runs. And this is the least surprising thing you'll hear. They lost. And again, they had other issues that they were haunted again by their inability to stop the run. The defense was playing with its hair on fire in the first half, making plays. Alex Singleton sets them up. Special teams gets a muff punt. But in the second half, they got gashed in the run game. That's got to get better. I mean, there's no way around it. Missed tackles. Singleton was part of that. Had a missed tackle from Moss. Maybe he got held. Maybe he didn't. But you can't be giving up 140 yards on the ground. Again, that was basically where they were last year for much of the season, even during the 5-game win streak. But for me, it goes back to this. Sean Payton failed. And that's where we've been talking. Why was the run game so bad? It's scheme-related, maybe talent-related. I think you need to get him under center more and see where that goes. But overall, offensively, 3 red zone trips, 9 points. Not good enough. It's not good enough. Not good enough. And we go to the second point. Kind of what about Bo Nix's day? Again, folks, Bo Nix did not play well. I mean, Rich Eisen tweeted, I like the love about it. I was like, what were we watching? Did you have LASIK surgery and now you're 20/80 vision? I mean, Bo did not play well, folks. 26 of 42, 138 yards. His long was 25. That came late in the game to Josh Reynolds. 2 sacks, 2 picks, 47.5 quarterback rating. What I did see from him, and I'm encouraged, is he competed. I love that. The fact that he got after it. He got after it. He did not flinch. He did not get to the point where you're like, man, the moment's too big. It didn't seem too big. Now, look, he looked rattled at times, but the moment didn't seem too big. But statistically didn't play well. But I will defend him on this. Now, he made a bad decision on the pass to Cortland Sutton that he's in double coverage. He probably could have had 4 picks. He should have had 3 for sure. So he's got to make sure mechanically that he steps up into the pocket and drives the ball. It's even against the Colts in the preseason, if you remember, where he floats a little bit and he gets on that back foot. You can't do that in the NFL. You got to step up and drive the ball. And if you're going to miss, you got to miss long or low. You can't throw it up for grabs with 2 people. It's just not college. The DBs are too good for that. So he made some bad decisions. He made some bad throws. But here's the deal. I mean, Josh Reynolds said, what do we got to do? He's like, we got to make plays for him. I don't know if they can consistently. They don't get separation, folks. That was the case Sunday. I think maybe one time Sutton got interfered with, but Sutton caught 4 passes on 12 targets. I wrote a couple Sundays ago, like, Bo Nix's success is going to hinge on Sutton. Sutton's got to have big games, not unlike Sean Payton. Like, he can't have a bad game. When he's bad, he's got to still be good, if you will. But these guys don't get separation. They don't have the Jamar Chase, the Justin Jefferson, the CD Lamb, a guy who's open when he's covered. And it starts to show up when the field shrinks and you get into the red zone. And that's what I kept saying over. Who are their playmakers? Who's going to score at the goal line? And today it was one, Bo Nix on a scramble. So it's early. You don't panic after one game, but I'll say this. You lose to the Steelers, it's going to be a little alarming because you face the reality of being 0-4 going on the road to Tampa and the Jets. You got to be able to score. You got to be thinking in terms of 23, 25 points to beat teams like that. You're not beating anybody on the road, floating around, 15, 17 points. It's just not going to work. Their defense isn't that good. So, about Bo Nix Day, it was a checkered day. It was a mixed bag. It was terrible at times, cringeworthy, but he battled. He finished it. And I'm not concerned about his day in terms of, oh, no, because I love the way he responded. His teammates were still responding to him. There wasn't this panic of, oh, my, we got misled here and catfished. But the reality is, Bo Nix was not going to be able to succeed today with that game plan. You just can't do it. Sean Payton has got to take a long, long look at how this game unfolded. And Zach Strief, their line coach, Joe Lombardi, their OC, they got to get after it and figure out how are they going to attack on the run, in the run game. Because that is what is going to allow Nix to develop. Sean Payton has to evolve. Now, remember this, folks. Sean Payton has never coached a rookie quarterback. Ian Book started one game for him in 2021 during COVID. So as much as we talk about Nix's development, trying to kind of microwave it, Payton has to evolve with him, meaning you have to be patient and stubborn at times with how you call the game. Because if you don't spoon feed him, you can gag him. And there were times today he was choking. He was choking because it was too much. Payton disagreed. That's fine. He's the coach. I'm just telling you, watching it with my eyes, it was too much. It was too much. So if you get into that film room Monday and you're the Broncos, the O-line, you got to take a long, sobering look in the mirror. The running backs, long, sober look in the mirror. Receivers, how can we get separation? How can we get better timing? And Nix has to see, I can't make bad decisions with the football and throw it up for grabs. But, there's plenty of room for improvement. It was one game. But, man, it was concerning that Sean Payton, their most valuable asset for me, and I believe in Payton and a lot of things he's doing, it's got to show up on Sunday. Just having, we joke forever on Vance Joseph, oh, we had a great week of practice. They appear prepared. They're well coached. Their assistants, but it's got to translate on Sunday. And going forward this season, we've got to see that arrow point up, because what I saw today looked a lot like last year's. It just reminded me so much of the CU game. You're watching it and feeling like that looks a lot like last year's CU team. And when I watched the Broncos today, I was like, that looks a lot like last year's Broncos team. And at some point, they got to shake it. They got to shake it. And what were the players saying? Had a chance to get in the locker room after, talk with Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle. I always appreciate the fact McGlinchey's accountable and speaks to us after the game. He's there during the week. He talked about the loss, as did Jonathan Cooper, had 2 sacks, who had a whale of a game, and then, again, was part of the team that couldn't finish defensively against the run. But after the break, we talked with Mike McGlinchey and Jonathan Cooper from the locker room after the 26-20 loss by the Broncos in the season opener. Never a bad time to enhance your home. Maybe you want to make it more comfortable. You just want to sell it. Glass doors, man, they can add a nice touch. That's where Jamie Haig comes in. He and his wife, Lisa, run RBJ Glass. They pride themselves on customer service, honesty, and integrity. Jamie put a sliding glass door and screen in our house. We love it. We've had it for more than a year. It's been fantastic. He does great work. He stands behind it. RBJ Glass installs European shower enclosures, standard shower glass. They do mirrors, window and glass replacement, insulated doggy doors, office cubicles, and small commercial storefronts. They have competitive prices at RBJ and offer discounts to veterans, senior citizens, and have even accommodated single parents. What are you waiting for? Call my friend Jamie. It's Jamie of RBJ Glass, 720-883-3144. That's 720-883-3144. Or email Jamie at rbjglass2017@gmail.com. Welcome back, folks, to the Broncos podcast with Troy Renck. I'm your host, Troy Renck from Denver 7. Football there from the Denver Post. My TV days are over. I don't have makeup on. Look at me. Does this look like TV hair? But thanks for joining me, Broncos country. I know you're frustrated. I get it. You're going to have patience. Instead of chewing gum, keep the Tums nearby. There's going to be moments you're just like, what is going on? And you're going to have to be patient with the quarterback. Pat Surtain said it in his tweet. He's mad about it. He thinks fans are, piling on Bo Nix. You're going to have to be patient with that. But some of it you don't have to be patient with. Sean Payton has to be better. I hold him to a higher standard. He has to be better. But what were the players saying in the locker room? There was clear disappointment because of the fact it was such a winnable game. When you're up, you get 2 safeties. First time that happened in the Broncos game since 1983 against Seattle, of all places in the kingdom. And you don't win? And that's the one pick that Nix threw to Sutton, intended for Sutton. That was a -1 on points because they would have had a field goal there. They end up with 2 points. The defense in the first half was excellent. Second half could not stop the run. So the inability to stop the run and finish were topics. Obviously, had a chance to catch up with Mike McGlinchey, ask him about the game, lack of ability to win on first and second down, and Jonathan Cooper talked about kind of the inability to close this one out. We're joined now by McGlinchey and linebacker Jonathan Cooper.
That's just the way this league works. You have to be good in situational football. We weren't able to punch it in when we had the opportunity today. So we got a lot to improve on. Excited for where we're going to go, but can't make that many mistakes like we did today.
Coach brought up the lack of efficiency on the early downs, first and second downs, particularly in the run game. Do you think that was the issue? Because you ended up lacking balance. Certainly, at the end of the game, you're going to. But what was going on, I guess, in the early downs with the run game?
I think we need to be better. It is just one of those things where, I think, we just need to be able to run the ball better, blocking better, identifying things better, just seeing it a little bit more clear. You can't be good on third down if you're not really good on first and second down. So that's just another way, if you want to run the ball well, you got to be able to convert on third down, and you got to be able to stay the way on the field, and we didn't do a good enough job of that today.
Bo got off to a slow start, it looked like, but encouraging the way it finished there with that final drive.
Yeah, I think and the 2-minute drive to end the half, I thought that was a good one for us. I think Bo did a great job today. I think he handled himself well. It's a really difficult place to make your first NFL start, especially at the quarterback position. I think he handled himself with poise. I think he commanded the huddle well. I think he's competitive as all hell, and lays his body out there for us. And really pleased with where he's going. And I know he's going to take the look at this and improve as much as anybody else on the team.
You've obviously been on both sides of week one over the course of a career. When you don't start the way you want to, what's the key to making it an aberration rather than it setting the tone going forward?
I think it's just looking at it with a clear set of eyes and being honest with yourself and the team on film as to what we did wrong, what we need to improve on, and how, like I said, how we can get better from it. It's week to week. It's a week-to-week thing. It's a week-to-week situation. I don't think any game has last week's game or this week's game isn't going to have any effect on next week. And so you just find the things that you did wrong, improve on them, and then work it all week until you get better at it, and then identify what the specific things are for the game plan that you need to do well against Pittsburgh next week. So it's a week-to-week deal. It's not anything that you need to overreact to or anything like that, because we had chances today, and unfortunately we didn't capitalize on them, and that's why we lost the game. You can't go into the red zone 3 times and come away with 9 points. It's just the way it is, and we'll get better from it.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Thanks.
What you said.
I don't know if I can put a finger on it per se. I would just say that you know, as leaders of the defense and stuff, we got to make sure we all come together and do better when it comes to that second half. And that's really all it is. I really like how they played. I like how the guys came out. We were getting after it, like everybody saw. But you know, like I said, that second half, it can't be a die down in energy, and I'll take that personally on myself too.
Here live with Jonathan Cooper. Jonathan, just one game. Big deal, no big deal? What do you think?
You know, I think it's a big deal because it's a lot. Like you can tell a lot about the team and just how everybody started. But also, it's not a big deal because we got 16 more games left. You know, we got a whole season left, and I don't want anybody getting too discouraged. It's just a really good opportunity to get better. And as long as everybody sticks together and has that type of mindset and grows from this, and I think, you know, sky's the limit. So, yeah.
Well, listen, you heard it there from McGlinchey and Cooper. There's disappointment, but they're trying to keep perspective, as they should. 16 games left. You don't want to panic over losing the opener. It's just, as this team is continuing to learn how to win, they have to learn not to lose. Again, I've talked about last year they blew halftime leads over the Jets, Commanders, and Raiders. And now you do it to the Seahawks on the road. Like, at some point, you have to get over that to the point where when you're leading, you feel like we can step on somebody's chest and put them away. And right now, there's that sense that kind of when's something going to go wrong and we're not going to be able to solve it. That's a hard thing to overcome because it's embedded now over 7-8 years. It's just become who they are. That used to be with Manning or Elway or Jake Plummer or even 8 games with Tebow. When they got in these positions, they felt like they're going to win. Now it's the other way. So again, folks, it's one loss, Broncos country. Take a deep breath. Bo Nix drove you crazy at times, but I think at least he showed glimpses and he competed. He's got to be much better. But it really goes back to, if Bo Nix is going to microwave his development this season, they got to be better around him. And frankly, that starts and ends for me with Sean Payton. He has to be better in the way he calls the game to give this rookie the best chance to develop. Because what we saw on Sunday, if you're going to run past 44 times, you're going to fail. And they did. So hopefully they learn from it. Folks, I could not do this show without Mile High Sports and Nate Lundy. Big A behind the screen. He is the producer. What's up? Peace out with him. He's staying up here late on a Sunday to do this. I couldn't do it without Mile High Sports, RBJ Glass, and of course my A1 from day one, Darby Hoggett. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.